Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the Mad Mamluks. I'm Mahin and I'm joined today by my co-host Sim. Before we get started on today's show, I want to give a quick shout out to the folks who pay our bills, because our launch good I just checked today, y'all need to be hooking us up, man. Come on, $16. So we have a launchgood.com. First of all, we have a launchgood that's up right now that we are trying to raise some money for, $5,000. Nice little segue because we really need funds. We are in the red. This YouTube stuff is no joke. How much are these cameras, man? But
these are like $1,500 cameras each.
So just to recoup some of this stuff, we can't do any further projects until we get this money back. So a lot of the conventions that we do a lot of recordings at, so definitely look us out for our launch good. But in the meantime, since we don't have like to help us pay our bills, we do have sponsors. First of all, you know, everyone who makes money wants to put their money away into good accounts. Don't put it in the savings account. Go to Wahid and like keep your money there. Wahid Invest. It'll protect your money and keep you out of riba, keep you away from worth Allah and His Messenger. All right, and then once you got that money, you know you got to get that spouse. And then there's no other better place to find that spouse than halfardeen.com. Check it out. It is also private, so your aunt or uncle, unless they're on it too, maybe, and you get matched up with them, which I guess is a possibility. But
a creepy promo.
You know,
gracious.
But that
would
would
be great.
Good.
You know, but
Auntie, what are you doing here?
halfardeen.com to get married, and then finally, if I can get, you might not get married, but you will die at some point in time.
That's why y'all only got $16. You promo like this here.
So we want to make sure that you got yourself set up with an Islamic will, mywasiya.com, because we don't want to go far taking your children and turning them into like Christians or atheists or Mormons or whatever else is out there.
Or Scientologists.
Yeah.
Scientologists.
That's where they're going to end up. That's worse than anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then we have a promo code for mywasiya. Check it on the show notes for that. And
by the way, don't you love like how everyone can make fun of Scientology now? Like everyone's just, it's not. They don't even have a term. Like it's not. What's that?
They're not protected.
Yeah, there's no Islamophobia term or anything for them.
Yeah, but they'll sue you. That's the thing.
They will. They have the courts on.
Didn't Tom Cruise butcher that for him? Like they were kind of like people respected him, and then he like took it down the rabbit hole.
Yeah. Well, no. They were never respectable. I think
now they're just Mission Impossible now.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Like that?
All right. So let's get started. We got some guests on the show today. A return guest, Nader Tabata, founder and the CEO, managing director. What do you want to call it? Islam by Touch.
Everything. Say co-founder, man. I don't want my wife to kill me.
Co-founder. And then he is joined by one of Abu Hafsah, Abdul Malik Claire, who is also.
I'm not the co-founder or nothing. I'm just a speaker.
Now, is that your official name, Abu Hafsah?
No, it is not.
Okay.
No, I did not change my name.
Because a lot of these people named Abu something,
No,
they end up in some kind of prison.
No, Abu Hafsah is a nickname. Okay. You know what my first name is? Jerome, believe it or not.
Jerome.
Yeah. You know, it's very rare to find a white dude named Jerome.
You know, my dad's named Jerome too. So it's like
For
two
real?
of us. Yeah, it is rare. And I used to go to school with that name, and people ask me, "Did you ever get like made fun of because you're blind?" And I'm like, "Nah, I got made fun of because I'm a white kid named Jerome."
Yeah, and I've never met a white dude named Jerome or a white dude named like Tyrone.
No, I never met one of those.
A white dude named Tyrone?
I never met a white dude named Tyrone.
Oh.
Jerome, I did. But
Okay.
see, that's the thing. It was cool to me growing up like that because I had a lot of black friends and they influenced me heavily. But I had two other black friends. One was name was Corey and one was name was David.
Mm.
So I'd hang out with them and we would like play with people and say, okay, which one of us is named Jerome? And I never got picked even once.
Wow.
I was always Corey or David. I was never Jerome.
So now that you work with Abu Hafsah, how did y'all get linked up, and what does Abu Hafsah like have any relevance to Islam by Touch?
So we got linked up actually. I got his phone number from some brothers in Turkey that he worked with. There's a group in Turkey called IBQS. It's International Union of Braille Quran Services. So their whole thing is they're trying to just because apparently I guess Quranic Braille is in different forms, right? So they're trying to unify the Braille to put Quran in that same kind of Braille, the actual Quran in Arabic, right? So I linked to them, and he did something with them a couple years back. So I was just telling him, like, hey, do you guys have any contacts over here? Because I was like the first Muslim organization for blind people that they've ever heard of in North America. You know what I mean? So so I linked with them. I told them, hey, do you guys got any contacts in the area? They said, yeah, we know one brother. He gave me their number. They gave me his number, and reached out to him, and the rest is history.
They gave him my private number too. I was surprised at that. Just I didn't remember giving it to them myself. I must have, but they gave him my private number.
And what Abu Hafsah does is he's actually we hired him on, so he's actually he's part of the Islam by Touch team, and he's a speaker. He takes care of some of our social media stuff because mashallah he did a really great job for himself. So I figured we could take advantage of that, and he's been doing the speaking thing for years and years and years. So he's a great benefit.
So Abu Hafsah, I actually want to dig back into your little background a little bit. I know we don't want to rehash your entire story because it's on YouTube and there's like 1 hour, hour and a half talks and stuff.
Yeah, it's all over.
But there's a but real quick. So you come from a trailer park in Canada, right? Of an Irish background.
Yeah,
and you're a wrestler.
I was a wrestler.
Kinda, and you're blind. And you were born without eyes.
Born without eyesight.
Born without eyesight.
Yeah.
Born without eyes. You're seeing his eye
No,
right there.
He said last night that eye's not real.
Oh, that's not real.
He's gonna tell my story. I'll just sit here and let you do it.
That looks awfully real.
No, I was okay. My left eye. I wasn't born with a left eye. Unlike as a TLC reference, I was born with damage to my right eye. So I had a right eye to say that, but I have no left eye. So these eyes that I have now are
Prosthetics.
Prosthetics, yeah. So
Okay.
they're pretty, ain't they? MashaAllah.
Yeah.
You already know. So yeah, so I grew up in Nova Scotia, Canada, Halifax, Nova Scotia. Trailer park, trailer park boy from there. I liked it. I grew up as Irish background, if you want to say. No, I don't know anything about Braveheart. Don't ask me again. I wrestled in school from the age of 9, and I ended up becoming the first blind person to be accepted in a pro wrestling school eventually. So, yeah, man.
What year? How long did that take? Remember you're talking about in the beginning that you lost a lot because you were skinny.
Yeah, I was skinny, a small kid.
And then you eventually, crafted,
Well, wrestling is one of those things that you have to learn by doing it. Like you can't like martial arts. You can do kicks and you can do punches at mirrors and stuff, and that's fine. I did that too for a little while. But wrestling, you have to actually learn to wrestle by wrestling. So at first, you just get beat up a lot. And then you start to learn, okay, this counters that. You can go through drills and stuff, but nothing beats a match, So I lost for like 3 years, just every day. Just walk in, just get beat up and leave. Until I was about 11 or 12, and I started to win a little bit, and I got better, like anything. And then my final season, as in school at least, I was 21. And I went 29-0 that year. So I did okay the last year. And then I took my shahada at 21.
Okay, this 21 is...
Wait, so wait, are you wrestling against other blind people?
No,
or?
not some, but not most of the time I'm not.
Oh, wow.
Sighted people, yeah.
That's not fair.
It's not fair for them.
So you think your not having sight gives you an advantage in some ways?
I think so, because a lot of the sighted people used to underestimate me a lot. He's blind, I could beat him, and then they used to end up. I mean, sure, a lot of them did at first, but eventually they didn't. Like I was in the gym 3 times a day. Back then, I was working out a lot. I was working out heavy, and I just got better, alhamdulillah, and ended up winning. I was very reactive. I told you all this story last night. I had a taxi driver that used to take me home every day from school. So me and him used to wrestle here and there, like just messing around. He's an adult. I was a kid. So he came up from behind me once, and he locked my arms. You know how you grab someone like that and you just lock their arms? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when he did that, my head snapped back instinctively, and I broke his front tooth out.
Oh, no.
Like, I didn't think of it. I didn't even think of it. It just happened that way. So I got very reactive from wrestling. I learned a lot of discipline from it. I think I stayed out of a lot of trouble because of it, too.
That's why I was scared when I was walking you around on the way to the studio.
I was scared when you were walking around. Y'all got steps where there shouldn't be no steps. Why come y'all got half a step? It was weird. There's like half a step and there's no like cement on the other side. It's strange.
For old people.
Right. So one thing you mentioned in your talks is that you're as you're growing up, because you can't see, you don't understand the concept of white or black or race.
No, I don't know anything about any of that. Still, like, and the black kids adopted me when I was little, basically. Like, they kind of took me in and befriended me and took care of me. And I remember talking to a black history teacher in high school, because we had a cultural awareness trip in like 12th grade where we took a bus and we all like rented it and chartered it or whatever from Halifax, Nova Scotia, all the way to Philadelphia. and I was the only white kid on the whole bus. So I asked his teacher, I said, why do you think that I've been accepted so easily? He said, because they know what it feels like to be different. And they know what it feels like to be treated differently. And I think that they subconsciously, accepted you based on that. And I was accepted by, I had more black friends growing up than any other friend.
I see.
Yeah.
And then how did you get introduced, your story about like reading the autobiography of Malcolm X? How did that like come about? Was that through the movie or?
No, I loved my friends, my friends are my friends, and they were more like my brothers, my family, as it were, like I was with them every day. So people kept telling me, mainly Caucasians, and say, they're different than us. And I'm like, how are they different than us? Well, they're black and you're white, and, so on and so forth. The funny thing, though, is I was only white to them when it came to dealing with black kids. Otherwise, I was just blind. Like when they found out that my eyesight wasn't there, I was disqualified from any white supremacy nonsense that there was. So I was always blind. But then when they wanted to take me away from my friends, then all of a sudden I was conveniently white. So people that took me in and treated me well, I wanted to know more about them and about their history. So I started to get really into my friends' history. People like Nat Turner and people like Malcolm X and so many other people like that over the years. Huey Newton and Black Panther Party and all those different people. So I loved Malcolm. Malcolm was, rahmatullah alayhi, Malcolm had stood out to me. Even though his message wasn't directly to me, I gravitated towards it. Because sometimes when you hear something that's right, even if it's against people that may look like you or may be related to you or connected to you, if you're a just person, you'll say, you know what? This is actually right. Like, black people have been shafted over here for centuries. Malcolm X isn't a racist for pointing that out. That's what happened. Now, his years of calling people indiscriminately devils is a different thing, and we can disagree with that all day. But in general, he was speaking more about the empowerment of black people. And I, as a person who have always kind of favored justice, inshallah, I liked that. And I liked the way he delivered his message. I thought that's amazing that you could captivate an audience of thousands with your words. So Malcolm X, rahmatullah alayhi, he fascinated me. And of course, we know towards the end of his life, he was talking more spiritual and more Islamic. And the idea of the concept of Allah always fascinated me too. That Allah is not like his creation, that he is perfect, complete in his oneness, and incomparable to anything that he created, subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that concept fascinated me too, which led me towards wanting to become Muslim.
Interesting. Now, in Canada, though, because I lived in Canada for like 3 years, black folks in Canada are like more of a Caribbean descent.
Yeah, the black folks y'all dealt with is in Toronto. Nova Scotia is not so much like that. Nova Scotia, black people have been there since the 1700s.
Okay.
A lot of them came even before the Underground Railroad. They came through the War of Independence. I think that's not the 1700s, but they came with the British loyalists. Nova Scotia actually had a certain indentured servitude, which is basically slavery. It's a polite way of saying slavery. So black people have been in Nova Scotia since the 1700s. You're talking more about Toronto, which, is mainly Caribbean. You're right, mainly Jamaicans and Trinis and stuff like that. But Nova Scotia isn't that way.
Okay.
Nova Scotia is a very old place in terms of European colonialism from maybe 1604. Nova Scotia was established, and Halifax is from 1749. It's an old city. So it's been around for a while. So
someone who came, because you mentioned that your family wasn't that like religious. You probably have what do they say, Catholic background?
Yeah, just like nominally.
Nominal, okay.
I don't really practice too much.
I remember you were saying that your dad, when they found out you're being Muslim, your dad was like, as long as it keeps you out of jail, I'm cool with it.
Keeps you out of jail. Yeah, that's what he said to me.
Right, but like, so with the concept of, were you always interested in the concept of a God?
I always believed in God. I wasn't spiritual like that, though, because I never understood certain things, and no one could properly answer it to me. Like, I never understood why I had to pray to a person. Like, why does God need assistance? Like, why can't I just talk to him directly? I never understood that concept. And I don't want to like disrespect Christianity or anything like that. I don't quote the Bible. I don't know much about it, and I don't pretend to know about it. It's not my thing. So I just never understood the idea. And of course, Catholics have saint for this and a saint for that, and saints for wayward souls, which I'm sure my mom talked to quite a bit. The saint of lost causes, which I'm sure my grandmother talked to quite a bit. Like all these different saints that they have to pray to, and it never really, like, I never really got the concept of that. Like, why can't I just ask God himself? If I was created by him, he didn't ask the saints to create me. So why is it now that I have to go through middle people? Why does God need customer service reps, you know? For what? I never understood that. That's something I never understood. So Catholicism and Christianity in general, because again, you have to, you know, pray in Jesus' name and stuff. I never understood praying in anyone's name except for God's name. Allah's name, as it were. Later on, I found that out. That's another thing that attracted me to Islam, is that you have a direct line to Allah, one-on-one. It's you and him. You talk to him, you pray to him, you ask him for help, you worship him as your Lord, and you know, to him belongs the most beautiful names, man. SubhanAllah. So I like that.
But how did, like, the media and things that are negative about Muslims and Islam, or whatever is perceived about our religion, how did that not affect you? I think a lot of people have those same type of thoughts that you do with regards to Christianity, but they really don't. When they look at Islam as an alternative, they're like, well, those are the crazy people from the East.
Well, remember, my influence were black influences.
I don't even know what's going on here. Sorry.
That's not me.
Oh, that's Nader, who did not turn off his phone.
Hey.
No. Hey,
So
listen, I'm blind. My phone talks. Sorry.
It's all good.
It's off now.
Go ahead, man.
So yeah, so when I was a kid, I remember I had a lot of black influences, and the media was constantly lying about black people, or over, like, you know, taking some bad examples and magnifying them into becoming the norm. So I was always saying, well, they lie about black folks and they lie about Muslims too. Like, I didn't really look at it like that. I didn't look at it as something that was valid, because every country that they were showing me, whether it be North Korea, China, Palestine, whatever, all had strife. Like, all had, like, some issues going on with them. Like, I was from the 80s and 90s, so they had, like, Tiananmen Square. They had issues there. They had North Korea had issues. They had Palestine had issues, obviously. And, of course, the whole Islamic media blast hadn't quite happened yet, right? It was still there, but not as much as it is now. So I didn't really take it serious, because they lied about everybody else.
Yeah.
Like, they lied about
And
black
what year
folks.
was this?
I took Shahada in 96, but I was
Okay.
learning about Islam in 92.
Okay.
So they had lied about lots of different people. And I knew the media weren't really trustworthy like that as much, right? Because I also knew that Africans weren't what the media said they were, right? Africans spoke many languages, and Africans built dynasties, and I knew all that. So Africa, to me, wasn't a continent of ghettos and jungles and stuff, as the media did then and still does try to make it seem like. So I didn't really trust them too much. I was very observant for a blind kid.
Yeah.
As far as Malcolm X goes, I want to cover this point before we, you know, get into, like, some Dawah stuff that we wanted to talk about. We were talking on the way over here that, like, a lot of people have said that if Malcolm X were alive today, he would not be welcomed into the Muslim community. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I would agree. I think that in terms of African Americans, we like stories about people, but we don't actually like the people in the stories.
Yeah.
Right? So we'll read Malcolm X's autobiography and we'll go, that's so cool, and he's so cool. Because it's easy to say that because our brother had been killed. He was assassinated. But there are lots of people out here now that have taken on that banner of Malcolm X. They actually may even know more than him, rahmatullah alayhi, Islamically. There's lots of brothers out here, and sisters too, that are doing a lot of good work. And we don't look at them as the Malcolm X's of today necessarily, right? And again, like, this is our thing. We like stories about people, but we tend to not like the people in those stories. So a brother who speaks well, a brother who studied well, he's not going to get over in the community because he's the wrong ethnicity, or because he doesn't sing, or because he doesn't play drums, or because he doesn't rap well, or because he doesn't, you know, tell all the jokes. Malcolm X would absolutely be ostracized because people would be scared of him. He would be saying things that would scare people, as he did back then, rahmatullah alayhi. He wasn't controversial for the sake of controversy. He was controversial because he knew that there was a lack of justice in his society, and he spoke about it. You know, and today he would absolutely be ostracized.
And I just think they would, I think it's a situation whereas if he said some of the things he said then and he says it now, in this age of political correctness, forget about it, man.
Yeah, he wouldn't,
oh my God,
he wouldn't be allowed.
Imagine him saying chickens coming home to roost after like 9/11 or something like that. Forget about it, man.
Brother, you need to correct your tone.
Okay, neither lives here. I don't.
No,
so.
he's not talking about me. He's like, that's what they'd say to him.
No, they'd say, they wouldn't even.
say.
No, they wouldn't say you need to correct your tone. They'd take the mic from him and say, "We don't supporting what he said.
Yeah.
That is very bad thing." Not
Or
to say.
we didn't have proper adab.
Yeah. Correct them in private. All this stuff. No, Malcolm wouldn't be accepted in a lot of our communities right now. That's unfortunate because there are so many of brothers who, like I said, are just like that in a lot of ways, and they're not accepted.
Okay, so the thing is, a lot of folks today are like in the activist realm or in the political realm, and they feel like they are doing that kind of work, fighting oppression, but at the same time, they may be sacrificing certain things about Islam. So what's the difference between those people of today and Malcolm X?
Malcolm X, in terms of Islamic knowledge, he was only Muslim for like 11 months. He went to Hajj and lived as a Muslim for 11 months. And then there was no, big scholarships to places and things like that. So he learned what he could and did what he could with what he knew. So it's not even about, it's he was on his level. And may Allah give him Jannah, may Allah forgive him and have mercy on him and make him from among the shuhada. There are brothers now who know better. They know more and they change things and do weird slogans and other things of that nature and use this intersectionality which is Malcolm never did things like that. Intersectionality was never his thing. Islamophobia / homophobia / whatever phobia. Malcolm X was never about intersectionality necessarily.
When you say like like some people they claim to be activists but they're giving stuff up from Islam, like what? Like give me an example.
Like protest, like collaborating with LGBT groups.
Yeah, intersectionality. That was the main one.
Yeah, that's the most obvious thing that's happening right now.
That's why I don't even like
this, man.
But that's why I don't even like the word Islamophobia, because it's too much connected to the other phobias that we have, and I don't like that. I don't think that it's appropriate. I think that some people are just anti-Islam. They don't like it.
Well, they don't call it anti-Semitism.
Yeah, they don't call it. They don't call it Hebrewophobia.
You know what I'm saying? They don't call it blackophobia. They don't call it.
So we need to not necessarily.
You know what I'm saying? It's too close. It's too weird for me, bro. It seems like there was an agenda when they named that.
You're gonna get in trouble.
I don't care, bro.
Well, the whole thing of these phobias and these terms that are designed to,
But see, what ends up happening, and we should take lessons from the black community over the years. Whenever they've aligned with other groups like that, and they have done so over the years, those groups tend to get what they want while black people don't get what they want. Black folks are still fighting to not be shot by people, right? To not be shot by police. And they've been fighting that since the 60s and the 50s, and they're still fighting it. And they've partnered up with different groups, and those groups have gotten whatever they wanted out of them and have kind of left them to the side. And I'll tell you that even the Muslim community has done that to them. We have Muslim that will praise Bilal ibn Rabah in the country. They'll praise him all up and down how he was a great Sahabi, and the adhan was done through him, and so on and so forth. Ahadun ahad, y'all know the story. But yet, if you bring a black person who's qualified in the masjid to talk, he probably won't get the microphone because he's one of the black, right? Al-Aswad. So we have to understand that we're guilty of this too. We've built communities on the backs of black people. The Nation of Islam, and may Allah guide them, have done more in terms of basics than a lot of us have done, in terms of drug rehab, in terms of gang intervention, and so on and so forth. There's so many other things that we can't deny their positive contributions. We don't agree with them theologically, but we can't deny that they've contributed a lot to us. And as Muslims, we would not be able to practice as much as we are without their contributions. You have to recognize that.
I got you. So then you become Muslim, and then you got your pro wrestling thing going. But then I know you got involved in some Dawah work. You rolled with it was IERA and then Guide Us.
That was a long time ago. Yeah, or a long time after that. I was actually annoyed with my community because I became Muslim in Toronto. I went there to work, and I became Muslim there. And I didn't realize that there were Muslims in Halifax, Nova Scotia. I didn't know there were any. So in my head, when I was flying home after my job contract, I was a camp counselor up there in Toronto. I had it in my head that I'm going to be the only Muslim in the whole place. Like, that's it. I'm going to build my mosque. I'll have to do that because you have to build a mosque. That was, you have to kill your own animals, you know. That was, you have to do, like, for your meat to be halal and so on and so forth. I had that in my head that I'm going to have to do all these things. When I get to Nova Scotia, I found out that there actually was a masjid there. And there were Muslims there, and they were very comfortable. And they weren't sharing Islam at all. Well, not at all, but very few people were actually sharing Islam. There's a few, but their work wasn't being supported, and they were just, you know, pretend. Like, you know how sometimes you look at Dawah as a hobby that you do like once a year or whatever, twice a year? That's kind of what was being done. So I was annoyed with that, and I thought, okay, I could either be angry with them or I could try my best to do my part. And Allah, you know, gave me a gift of being able to speak because of pro wrestling, I guess, and it just kind of took off from there. I would give little 5-minute reminders in the masjid from stuff that I had read that day or stuff that I had heard from Imam Siraj and others, because Siraj Wahaj was a big influence on me early on. Again, because of the Malcolm X and black people and them taking good care of me, he was someone that I would listen to. Dr. Jamal Badawi was another one. I think y'all know Dr. Jamal.
Yeah, he was old school.
But he was basically the, I guess he doesn't like it if I say this, but he was the Imam of Halifax. He was the Imam of the city. He'd never accept that for himself, but that's what he was. And I didn't know who he was at the time, but I listened to him and he treated me very well. But Siraj gave me that motivation to just keep pushing forward, because you know what? Your Islam is between you and Allah, and your ibadah is between you and Allah. And I just started sharing little simple things that I heard. And eventually I thought Nova Scotia is too small. So I moved to Toronto and all that other stuff started, man, speaking and working with food banks. And as you said, IERA came later on, and it just, there's so much between. I went to Africa for a little while and did some dawah there, and that was a lot of fun. Got married over there, got divorced over there too. Alhamdulillah, I'm married. I know divorce is an ugly word, don't say divorce. I did get divorced while I was there, and I got married when I was there too, so alhamdulillah. And then IERA guide us, and here we are.
The thing about Dawah is interesting. So you mentioned that there's a specific instance where when you came across the masjid in Halifax, and then there was the verse in the Quran about the hearts being blind.
Yeah.
So that really resonated, and then that was to you. I mean, summarize that point. Like, dig into that a little bit, because there's a question I want to ask about that.
I was raised up by my mom, and I wasn't allowed really to use the word blind in her house. Now, I don't know if that's a good idea today, but this was in like the 80s, early 80s. So blind people really didn't, like, accessibility wasn't even a word. Nothing was accessible to us, really. We didn't have a whole lot. So my mom would see blind people who would live off of the fact that they're blind and they can't do anything. So she would associate that with blindness. And this is, sometimes I don't explain it properly, but this is why I wasn't allowed to say the word blind. I couldn't see, but I wasn't blind.
She had a negative connotation.
Yeah, she had a negative connotation to it, or a negative influence from it, because she would see blind people and they'd be rocking like this and back and forth and doing all this
looking
crap.
Everywhere.
Or looking everywhere.
What's going on, guys?
Or just not. And I'm
the whole Stevie Wonder thing.
Yeah. Yeah, but if I made $1 million a show, I'd do all this too. Yeah.
Well, when Maheen said that there were a couple blind guys coming over here, I was picturing you guys are going to be
playing piano,
sunglasses, and smiling all the time.
Yo, what's up with that? Hold on, keep going. Then I got a question about that too.
Ray-Bans. Nah, so she had a negative image of blindness. So I couldn't see, but I wasn't blind. So I lived my life like that. So whenever you'd hear like the people, in the shopping mall, they would say things like, "He's blind," and I wouldn't know who they were talking about. I'd be like, "Who's blind? Who's the blind person?" Start looking around for the blind person. But then if I heard he couldn't see, then I would think, yeah, that's talking about me. So blindness never entered my head. The word wasn't allowed to be used. So then when I read that ayah, فَإِنَّهَا لَا تَعْمَلْ أَبْصَارُ وَلَكِنْ تَعْمَلْ قُلُوبُ الَّتِي فِي الصُّدُورِ, that it isn't the hearts that are blind, it isn't the eyes that are blind, but it's the hearts in the breasts that are blind. I was like, yeah, that's what my mom was saying all along. Your heart isn't blind. Your eyes just can't see. So again, I don't know if I would necessarily do that now with blind kids because there's so much available to them, and blind people are doing a lot of cool things now. But at the time, it was what she did, and I think she did a good thing for it because she told me years later. She said, the one thing I wish I could have taught you was how to be afraid, because I travel all over the planet now, and she's nervous every time I get on an airplane. So yeah, and I go by myself primarily. I don't go with anybody else.
So, but that verse, when you came across that, you were like, wait a second, dude. You got this verse in your book, and like, no one told me about this?
No one told us. Well, even the whole book itself, like you have the cure for racism in the Quran. Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum, that the best of you are the ones who are God conscious. That's the cure for racism. You can't look at a black person and look at them as inferior. You can't look at a white person and look at them as inferior or superior or anything else, because the best of us are the ones who are God conscious, and you're judged by your deeds. You know what I mean? So the cure for racism is there. The cure for poverty is there. Zakat is the cure for poverty right there. You know, there's so many cures in the Quran for us, and I got mad because I'm like, you have this book, this incredible book, and you don't share it with people. You don't let them understand it. You don't give it to them. You don't give them access to it. And that made me actually really resent the people for a minute. But then I thought, well, maybe they don't know how to share it. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe they don't know how to speak the language well, which is accurate, actually, to be fair, because there's a lot of first-generation Muslims in Nova Scotia, a lot. Y'all are not like that here. Y'all have like 3 and 4 generations of Muslims in your family, so they don't have that in Nova Scotia. So I was kind of hard on them a little bit, but then I realized that I can speak the language, and I do know how to orate, and I do know how to tell stories, and I do know how to talk in front of people. So maybe I'm supposed to do this instead of complain about it not being done. You know, because you can do that all day. You can complain about stuff all day and it's not being done. This isn't being done. That's not being done. Well, then if it's not being done, then they should do it, and then it's done. You know, you can complain or you can get busy, but you cannot really do both. So that's how the whole thing started. I never thought it would get this big, though. I never thought I'd be like on flights to Australia and places like that, and meeting the president of Turkey at one point. I never thought any of that would happen.
Wait, you met the president of Turkey?
Yeah, when I was over there. Working with these brothers Nader talked about earlier, IBQS. I recited Quran at the Blue Mosque, and I think I don't really take myself serious like that. So they came to me afterwards, and I recited Quran at the Blue Mosque. I think it was Surah Al-Mulk, and I just thought I'm reciting in front of a bunch of people in front of me. It didn't enter my head that this broadcast is all over Turkish television, right? So they came to me and they said, our president wants to meet you. And I'm like, get out of here. Ain't no president want to meet me. For what? You know, they said, no. We're serious. He wants to meet you. So I was, all right, whatever. I got nothing else to do. I'm in y'all's country, so I guess I got to do what you say, right? Because y'all driving, so I guess we're going to go meet the president. Fair enough. All right, whatever. So I go and they bring me to this, it's kind of like a museum or something. It was a room anyway, just a room. There was a bunch of other people there, and I'm just sitting there now, right? And I'm just going, ain't no president want to come here. What's the president want to meet me for? I'm a trailer park boy from Nova Scotia. So I said, you know what? They might trick me because I can't see. They might bring some guy and say he's our president, and I'm like, hey, I met the president. So I went on YouTube, and I typed in Turkish president and his Erdogan, and I'm listening to his voice, and I'm like, I'm gonna find out who he actually is, and then they're gonna bring me someone, and I'm gonna tell him off because he ain't the president. Watch. And then they brought in little guards and stuff, and they had to search you. And I was like, hey, they're searching me. That's kind of serious. So they searched us. And then they brought in the president. He had to stand up because he's president of Turkey and stuff. So he stand up. And it actually was him. And he shook hands and told me basically, keep spreading Islam the way you're spreading it. Keep sharing it, you know, keep pushing, keep going forward. And he gave me a scarf that had a Turkish thing on it, a seal. Because he offered me the little hat, you know, the Turkish hat thing. But I didn't want it. I wanted a scarf for my wife because my wife really is my backbone. You know, Samia is my champion. You know, she stays home a lot when I do all these tours and all these traveling. So I wanted to bring her something with the presidential seal on it. So I brought her the scarf, and she still has it today. So it's cool to meet the president.
Does he speak English?
Not much.
But that's like he's able to talk to you a little bit in English?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And translators, you know.
That's awesome, man.
Stuff. It was cool meeting him. MashaAllah.
So hey, quick question: Where did this stigma come up that blind people smile all day? I don't get this.
No, we were just talking about Stevie Wonder.
No, I'm saying like my brother told me this too. He's like, bro, blind people smile all the time. Like I don't get it.
People smile all the
Well,
time.
yeah.
I
Like,
don't
why?
smile
I
all
don't
the
get
time.
it. Me neither. I'm not smiling right
I
now.
probably should smile more. I am.
They're just thinking about Stevie
I'm an
Wonder.
angry blind guy. I don't get it. Like, I don't get
It's
it.
ABG, son.
Yeah. I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Like all these blind people coming in here with smiling.
I don't know. Hey, I don't smile all the time. I smile a lot, quite a bit, but I don't smile all the time.
Ilmuhim, let's continue.
Anyway,
with the
so
conversation.
Abu Hafsah, talking about this whole thing about like the point about like that we have something that is valuable that we got to share,
There's something that's priceless. They have to share.
right? But like people don't try, like people have to want to hear it. Now Nader, I remember.
No, if they want to hear it or not, that's up to them. But at least give them an option to hear it. Like this, we're not even giving them a choice to say no. You know what I mean? Like you can share the Quran with 100 million people, and that's fine. But if they don't want to hear it, okay, fair enough. Then you're off the hook at least. Like if a doctor gives you, if you go to a doctor and you tell him that you're sick with something and he gives you medicine, he can't make you take that. He can say, yeah, this is the medicine, it's going to help you, this is going to happen, that's going to happen. You can say, you know what, I don't care. Bun your ass, clot medicine, and throw it somewhere. Or you can take the medicine and get the benefit from it. So at least give the people the choice to say no. That's what I'm saying.
do you feel that the Quran, if you were to give an English translation to some as the first intro to Islam, that it's wise for them to give them that without them understanding any context or anything like that, or knowing nothing about the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam? I mean, you hear stories about people reading the Quran, like Abdul Rahim Green, like read it over a weekend, and I'm like, damn, this book is for real, you know. But a lot of
Abdurrahim
times,
Green's the IRA.
Yeah, he's a friend of mine too.
yeah,
British IRA
dude.
guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, it's something. Because, I mean, I learned a little bit about Islam from Malcolm X describing a lot with the basic knowledge that he had. I mean, he had more knowledge than me, which makes him a teacher. Because if someone knows more than you, even if they know a little bit more, then you can learn from them. So I hadn't read the Quran until I actually became Muslim. Just the basic concepts of Islam I liked. So I was like, all right, you know what? I'm going to become Muslim, and if I see something I don't like, I'm gone. That was kind of my mentality. 22 years later, alhamdulillah, I'm still here. But yeah, I don't have a problem with something like that. Then they can come back to you and ask you, what about this verse? What about that verse? What does it say? What does that say? And then you can give them the context if you want.
I see. Now,
That's how I would approach it. There's other ways, but that's the way I would do it.
Nader, the other night we were talking about like how when you met your wife, you didn't know that much about Islam, but you said like, oh, well, you were like, but I just know that your religion is wrong.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, right?
What a charmer.
So whenever I met my wife, I really wasn't a religious guy. I mean, don't get me wrong. You know, I didn't do crazy things because I was terrified of my dad. You know, I feared my dad more than I feared Allah. Let's be real here. And I just did things because I was told to do it. You know, that's pretty much what it was. And but when I met my wife and we became friends and we started talking about, you know, like religious stuff, we'd always have religious talks. Because I would just tell her, it's like, your stuff just doesn't make sense to me. You know what I mean? Like, this is, like you said, I didn't really practice Islam, but I knew it was the truth. And I know it's better than what you have. So, and then a year about, I mean, I didn't come straight out and say that, though, because, you know, that's terrible dawah. But
yeah, that might not be a good way of doing it.
But then
boys and girls don't do this.
And then about a year in of knowing each other, she gave me a call, and she's like, hey, I want to be a Muslim. And then that really, you know, from me teaching her, learning things to teach her, I became on my deen. You know, that's actually how it happened, subhanAllah.
So you would tell her, like, it doesn't make sense. You wouldn't be like, Christianity is, like, lame.
No, I would not say that. Let's not say that.
I thought you were saying that.
Listen, man, we you know, she was a friend of mine, but I was interested in her, so I didn't want to push her away. You know? I had to be nice.
You know, this kind of doesn't make sense.
I tell her, I was like, why?
Questionable.
I'm like, why do you guys pray to a dude? Why do we pray to his mom? Like, I don't get it.
Pray to a dude.
Yeah, why do you pray to a guy? Why?
But he's 100% man, 100% God.
And you know why?
100% dude.
100% dude.
You know, and you know what? It was one thing that really got her, that really made her turn.
What's that?
The concept of original sin.
Yeah, that never made sense to me either.
That was one thing that really pushed her over.
That never made sense. That was actually what took me out of Kith. I'm like, why come a kid that doesn't have any, like, he hasn't done anything. He's born and he's bad. And then of course you kullu mawludin ala al-fitra. That's Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said every child is born on a fitra. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense, because you're a clean slate. Nothing has affected you. How can you possibly be a sinner when you're born? Like, talk about being in debt. Like, already you're bad. I didn't do nothing. All I did was cry, and I'm a sinner. Like, that doesn't make any sense. I never got that concept either as when I was a Christian. So that kind of chased me out of it too. Yeah.
So when you're doing Dawah these days, like, let's walk through some various like groups, like who, like, let's take atheists for example. What are their common contentions that you're dealing with, or maybe talk to us a little bit about your Dawah first of all, and maybe
I am more of a speaker. Okay. So da'is are not interchangeable necessarily. There are the debate da'is like the Muhammad hijabs, and I'm not saying one is better than the other. I think everybody has their place. I'm motivational. I'm a speaker. I'll come to your university. I'll come to your school, your masjid, and things like that, and I'll talk to the people a little bit. I'm not the argument guy. I'm not the debate guy. Atheists will come and ask questions like, why, if there's a God, why is there so much bad in the world? Things of that nature. And it's like, that's kind of a childish answer, because Allah made us khilafah of this earth. So he allowed us to be in control of it to a certain degree. And the reason why there's so much bad on this earth is because we are doing so much bad on this earth. Allah is not a police officer that's going to come and just, okay, boys, behave, stop those bombs. Right? Like, Allah doesn't do that. This is us. And if you're upset with the state, let's say, of homelessness in the world, then why don't you adopt a homeless person? Why don't you take care of someone? Why don't you help someone and, as the people say, be the change, you know? Do that. So I don't really, I'm not that argument guy when they come to me. I'm more of a motivational guy, and I'll present Allah to you in the best way that I know how. That's kind of what I do. Help you fundraise and things.
Well, what kind of questions do you get from like Christians then?
Same ones like you know, how do you know, like, who were the witnesses that saw Muhammad's angel in the cave? Because you say, well, Islam says you have to have 2 witnesses, right? Is that right? Yes. Yeah. So okay, who were the witnesses that saw Allah's angel in the cave? And I'll say the same ones that saw Mary get pregnant with Jesus. Right? Because you don't have any witnesses for that either. We believe in it too, though.
Then he drops the mic and walks away.
And I drop the mic and walk away. Yeah, I don't really. Yeah, a lot of times, because I'm not that person. I'm not that guy that will get up and talk about the Bible. I don't necessarily attack people. So my message is pretty clear. It's pretty straightforward. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah is what changed my life. And I'm going to talk to you about that. I'm not going to attack you. I'm not going to confront you. I'm not going to talk too much about the Bible, because I don't know a Bible. I didn't read it when I was a kid. I don't know it. I just know that there's stuff in it that I didn't like, and it wasn't for me. Like the story of Noah, you know, being basically an alcoholic. I didn't like that. I don't like, why? Okay, why should I follow him since he's an alcoholic who gets naked in front of his children? Why should I follow him? Now, the Noah in the Quran isn't like that. So, of course, I gravitated towards the Nuh alayhi salam in the Quran. Lut, you know the story of Lut, and I'm trying to tell it to you in the Bible. In the Quran, the prophet Lut isn't like that. So all these different things that I present to the people, sometimes it's just a reconfiguring of what they already know. I don't attack things. I like that the brothers who can respectfully do that, but I'm not one of them. I'm more motivational. I'll tell you about Allah and His Messenger, and if you want to know more, then we can talk after the show. Otherwise, I've presented a message to you, and you know Muhammad said, "Balighni anni falau ayah." Convey from me even if it's 1 ayah, and that's what I do.
Random side question: you brought up Prophet Lut alayhi salam. Have you ever met somebody named Lut?
I have not. It's unfortunate. I would like to. You know what? I always said that, as if I have a son, I'm going to name him Lut. See what happens. And I don't know why we don't. He's a prophet. He's a messenger of Allah alayhi salam. You know, he was the cousin of Ibrahim, wasn't he?
Yeah, he needs to be brought back, because he was alive during the Ibrahim alayhi salam's time.
Sure.
And his message is more relevant now, but maybe that's why people are too afraid of it.
Well, probably. I mean, and Muslims have weird, at first I chose the name Malik as my name because of Malcolm X. Muslims, you know, you shouldn't name yourself Malik. لِيَقَضِي عَلَيْنَا رَبُّكَ. Like, the angel of hellfire's name is Malik. So I don't like that. Which, of course, defeats the purpose, because there's an Imam Malik, there's Anas ibn Malik, and so on and so forth. So, but this is our weird, because we don't read much, we repeat a lot. So Lut is associated with those people when Lut wasn't one of them. You know, he was a prophet and he was a messenger, and he was sent by Allah, and we should honor that name. You know, he's messenger of Allah.
I think it's his name is more old. I think like it's not just it hasn't been used
Adam
by anyone.
is older.
No, but
Adam is used all the time. Adam
but
is older.
if you even look at any like if you look at 100 years ago, right?
Okay.
Or even 200-300 years ago, you don't see any scholar named Lut.
No, I've never even heard of one. Like from the Sahaba on down, I've never heard
exactly. So that's what I'm saying. I don't think it's because people are.
Lut ibn Abdullah radiallahu. I've never even heard anything like that. Lut is not even a name that I've heard anywhere that anyone except for the Messenger alayhi salam. So I've never heard anyone named Lut.
I guess there are other prophets like Sheath. You never heard it.
No, him too. Yeah, Sheath. I've never heard. Hud, no.
Yeah.
Saleh. I've heard Saleh once or
Yeah,
twice.
Saleh.
That's a real common Palestinian name. Is Saleh.
Yeah.
Saleh.
But not Hud, not Sheath, not Dhul Kifl
Dhul Kifl.
or Dhannun. Right, there's another one. I've never heard that either.
Sheath is pretty dope. I actually like that.
Yeah, Sheath is cool. Sheath Rollins is in the Survivor Series tonight.
So the work with
Is that what that translates to?
It is
Seth?
Seth, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it
Oh,
is.
I never
It's
got
cool,
that.
right?
That's dope.
It's good.
so all the stuff with the Dawah work, you did some work with the Yusuf Estes, right?
Sure.
So just basically the motivational talks and stuff. So are you?
Yeah, I'm more motivational.
Okay. Do you do as far? So what do you now? Are you still doing that stuff, or do you use kind of like full time Islam by Touch these days?
I mean, Islam by Touch are the group that books me the most. I'm not exclusive, I guess you could say. Am I? Am I exclusive?
As long as you're not booked with us, I don't care what.
Yeah,
you
no, they get first. Obviously, they get first priority on me, but I'll come anywhere. You know, I'll go to talk anywhere if you want. Just as long as there's no bullets flying, I'm pretty good.
So
I have a lead allergy.
So in terms of awareness,
You
what are you?
didn't sell that last comment, did you? You didn't sell it completely. Go ahead. Sorry.
In terms of awareness, what are you really focusing on in whatever communication that Islam by Touch is having you do?
Yeah, Islam by Touch, I help with their social media. I put videos up for them on a number of different topics. They're like kind of like y'all sponsors, if you want to say it that way. The way you did those sponsors earlier.
Yeah.
Wahed Financial and stuff. That's kind of what I'm doing at the moment for Islam by Touch. To a degree, they sponsor my videos and I post them on their pages and try to get people to like their stuff. At Islam by Touch on everything, by the way. Pretty much, y'all can follow it, and I try to help out where I can. You know, that's it. I did the same thing with Guidance before too.
In terms of like lecturing and the message that you want to bring in awareness to the Muslim community in the West, what are you trying to get them to be more aware of? Well, obviously it's the Braille Quran, but
With Islam by Touch, you mean?
yes,
Yeah, it's the idea that blind people have been neglected. I haven't really talked too much about blind people in my career, I guess you could say. But since Islam by Touch back in 2016 called me, I've been kind of focused on that a little bit. But I mean, I've talked about lots of different stuff. But yeah, blind people have definitely been. I mean, I had to learn the Quran with Arabic Braille, and I had to learn that dot by dot. It wasn't something that I just knew all of a sudden, because Arabic Braille and English Braille are very different. There's no qaf in English. There's no ta. There's no vad. There's no sad. There's no ayn or ha or kha. So you have to learn all these letters, and there's no sakin, and there's no
there's a solution for that. You use the numbers. You put the 7 as a ha, the number 7, because so that's what a lot of the Arabs do when they're like talking in chat room messages.
Yeah, I see it.
They put like 7s after.
Unless
That's not gonna work in Braille.
I think what that is because in the Arabic keyboard, like on the regular Arabic keyboard, I think 7 makes the ha.
Right.
I think that's why.
Is that right?
But
Braille doesn't work that way.
yeah, no, it doesn't.
You can't put a number 7 in the middle.
Yeah.
Oh no.
You put a
Because
number 7.
they'll say things L7 dulillah.
Yeah.
It's not gonna work,
Yeah,
brother. It's not
ain't
gonna
gonna
work.
work.
So when you learn,
What's your name? Mo7 Med.
when you learned Arabic and Braille, because you didn't know Arabic already, you know English Braille.
Yeah.
How did you learn Arabic? Like, how does that work? Like, how do you learn Arabic Braille?
I'll be very honest. I opened the Quran, and I remember a brother had brought me one. He knew had a contact in Saudi Arabia, and they sent it to me. And first of all, I go to his house, right? And my Quran is in a box. I was like, this is a box. Your Quran fits in your pocket. And I'm like, that's the Quran, or what is that? That's 6 different volumes that are about as big as a phone book each. So I take one. I don't even know if it was the first one or not. I take yeah, it was, because the English was written on it. So I took the first one and opened it, and I didn't recognize anything. I recognized just like the number 1, the number 2, the number 3. So I thought, okay, that must be the verse numbers, and I figured that was the first thing I learned. But I couldn't read anything, and they're like telling me, read, and I'm like, I can't read, and I'm like, this is familiar. Somebody else went through this. اقرأ ما أنا بقارئ. Read, I can't read. So I had to learn it basically by having a brother spell everything out for me, and I used the numbers as a guide for that, right? So the Fatiha, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, is ayah number 1. So he would spell Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, and I would be like, okay, that's a ba. That must be a kasra sign beside the ba. So, okay, fair enough. Then there's the sin, and so on and so on. And I would copy the letters on a Braille machine. So this is ba, this is sin, this is meme, this is alif, so on and so on and so on, until I got all the letters.
So kind of like transliteration?
No, it's not transliteration, because the letters are different, right? And you have vowel points, and you have tajweed markers, and you have to learn all that. And you have to just go, okay, this must mean to do that. Like the
let me try to take a whack at this, right? So the way it worked was, right, so the brother was with Abu Hafsah, right, and he was like, okay, we start at the Fatiha. So Abu Hafsah would find the number, he'd recognize the number, so that's the first ayah. So he was like, okay, so the first letter should be ba, and the first thing Abu Hafsah would feel was the character for ba.
Yeah, exactly.
And he would relate that, and he'd type it into what's known as a Braille writer, which is like a Braille typewriter.
So he has an Arabic Braille
Quran, and a teacher who doesn't. No one knows Arabic Braille at this point, even the teacher.
And you gotta remember, there isn't no
what's he
Arabic Braille Sunday schools.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
But what's he feeling? He has an Arab. Do you have an Arabic Braille like key
Mushaf
or something?
No, Mushaf. I don't have a key. I wrote the key myself.
So he had a regular Mushaf.
I felt you.
Hafsah had a Braille Mushaf,
and I'm writing the key
letter by letter.
And I'm writing the key. I'm the one who's writing the key.
I got you.
So I had to write an Arabic letter key. These are the letters: alif, ba, ta, tha, jim, ha, kha, dal, dal, ra, za, sin, shin, sad, ta, so and so and so and so.
Right.
Then you get the little symbols. Okay, this is Bismillah. So there's a beside it there's a kasra. So, all right, that's a kasra. Then you write that. E, B, T, Th, G, He, T, so with the kasra. Then you find out that there's another symbol called fatha, and you write that. And there's a dhamma, so you write that. So you learn all these, and then you learn like tajweed symbols, and where you have to make things longer, and mad lazims, and so on and so forth. You learn all these different symbols slowly by going through it. It took bro. It took really a long time. I'm still actually reading it to this point.
Wow.
I have finished the Quran a few times in Braille. But it's something where you have to literally practice it every day. And now it's gotten to the point where my Arabic Braille is better than my English Braille, because I don't use English Braille that much. Until, of course, Nader came along with Islam by Touch. So, alhamdulillah, that's where we are. But I didn't have any of this stuff. It wasn't available to me at all.
Cool.
And there's no internet, Facebook, Braille Arabic group in 1996 or whatever, 7 or whatever it was. There's none of that.
I got you. So Nader, as we start winding things up today, what's on the table for Islam by Touch? What's new? Is it anything else happening? But you're just trying to like still the same where you're trying to again raise the funds to get these Qur'ans out there.
That's definitely main priority. You know what I mean? We only got these in about 15 states.
Okay.
You know.
Did you guys look into setting up a launch code or anything?
That was our first major step.
Okay.
We did a launch code. Alhamdulillah, we did great, and that's what got us on our startup. But inshallah, that's actually something we're looking into is going in, because we want to expand. You know, like one goal of Islam by Touch is, of course, we want to do this. We want to make this information available to the blind community. Why? Because we want to be equal in that regards. You know, we deserve to be treated just like, you know, the sighted community does, right? So so that's why whenever I hire people, like for example, Abu Hafsah is like one of my first real hires. I want to if I can give the job to a blind guy than a sighted guy, and he does as good of a job, if not better, I'm gonna hire the blind guy. You know what I mean? So of course, getting these Braille Qur'ans out there to people, to institutions, to massages, stuff like that, we need funds because we're only funded by the community. We actually just released an app for iOS, right? We just released the Islam by Touch app for iPhones. And what's really cool about the app is that it's a regular app. right? You can use it. Maheen can use it. You guys can use it just like a regular Quran app, but it's built to work with the accessibility feature in the iPhone called VoiceOver. So there's tons of these Quran apps in the App Store, right? Not one of them are built with VoiceOver in mind. So I can't favorite an ayah. I can't set an ayah to be repeated to me. You know what I mean? It may not even read anything to me. I'll put my finger on the screen and it'll just be like there's nothing there.
Yeah.
You understand what I mean? So I built an app that can be accessible to blind people, and our sighted counterparts can just use it as a simple Quran or Islamic literature app too. And then, we're working on other things like trying to put different books in Braille. I'm currently working on Fortress of the Muslim, that Dawah book.
Awesome.
Working on that too. We have different projects, but it takes money, bro. You guys know.
Yeah.
It takes money. So, we're working on different things. Inshallah, the community can keep supporting us. And I need to get some sponsors like you guys do.
Yeah, if there's anyone listening and is appreciative of the work that Nader is doing with the Soundbite Touch, make sure you check out under the description of this video or of this podcast how to support a Soundbite Touch.
Soundbitetouch.com.
Soundbitetouch.com. Yeah.
That's it.
And Abu Hafsah, what else you got going on? But how can people reach out to you or find
Yeah.
out more about your work?
There's at Abu Hafsah Claire on YouTube, on Twitter. There's Abdul Malik Claire on YouTube, and there's Abu Hafsah Abdul Malik Claire on Facebook. So I'm here, man. Just
What do you tweet?
whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever comes up. I might tweet them pizza we had last
So
night.
how does that? Okay. So one thing I don't understand is when you got y'all on your phone, right?
Yeah.
It talks.
How does Twitter? How do you know what to tweet or like? How does that? Is that the thing you showed me the other day?
Yeah. So there's a feature. It's not even a software. It's a feature baked into the iPhone. It's called VoiceOver.
Can you hold it up to the camera real quick?
Yeah, sure.
Why don't you hold it up so people
Let
can
me
see?
just-
Yeah, since yours was talking earlier.
Wait, I think I turned it off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but show them the idea because
I
I was wondering
off.
how you're texting me all the time, and I'm like, this dude can't see.
I turned it off because you guys told me to turn it off. So
Okay.
That's
but
right.
I'm loading up. But pretty much what it is that there's a feature called VoiceOver, okay? And with this feature, what it does is anything you touch on the screen, it'll read it to you, okay?
Oh yeah, that's
So,
the accessibility thing that always turns on my Xbox.
Exactly, yeah. Which I don't even know.
I don't know why it
Xbox
turns on.
had
I think it's
accessibility.
the Connect or something.
Xbox accessible? I didn't know.
Yeah, Xbox.
So,
Yo, start playing video games.
so if you guys can see,
228
Yeah.
mashallah.
as you can see, I'm pretty busy.
I'm not
I ain't got
sending him
phone
an
to
email
call
ever.
people. So anything I touch on the screen here, it'll read it to me. See? And if I want to interact with it, right? Let's go into Expedia here. I just double tap the screen and it'll open it up. And anything I touch on the screen, once it loads, it'll tell me like my flights and stuff. You see? See that? So,
But how do you initially set it up?
actually, it's really easy. You can
built
actually
in.
tell Siri to turn it on and off.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, so
Very
you
nice.
could literally say Siri, turn on VoiceOver. Siri, turn off VoiceOver. And
it
it'll
always
do
bothers me. Like when you're in New York, you see one of these signs on a subway or something like "Don't fall off the ledge" in Braille. like, like, wait,
That's so great.
Don't
why
fall
would
off
you
the
walk
ledge.
by that?
Don't fall off the ledge in Braille.
Okay, blind people, look that way.
Yeah.
Stare that way at the Braille sign. It says, don't fall off. The
Abu
ledge."
Hafsah, one more. I actually forgot that I was going to ask you this in the beginning about you being Canadian and stuff.
Yeah.
So Muslims in America got a real hard on for Justin Trudeau.
Excuse me? It's inappropriate.
This is the Mad
Mad
Mamluks,
Mamluks.
bro.
Wow.
This is where inappropriate lives.
They got a real what, bro?
So
¿Por qué?
is he all like hype? Is it all like photo ops? But like, is
No,
he
I
actually
mean-
a good prime minister? Or like, what do you think?
I don't know. It is what it is. I don't hate him. I think he's better than what we had. I never voted for him.
Who was the prime minister before him?
You think he's better than Trump?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course.
Trump, yeah.
Mine
You want to get
likes
me?
Trump. He
You,
doesn't
you want to
wanna
get me
do it.
banned from the country, right? You want to get me banned from the country? Yeah.
No, I'm just curious.
He's. I mean, he's cool. He's like the celebrity prime minister, right? He's on everything, and people tend to like him. He's apologizing for everything now, right? He's saying I'm sorry for stuff that happened like 500 years ago. He made weed legal strangely enough. Nova Scotians never thought it was illegal. I don't know. To them, wasn't it always legal? Especially where I grew up. It was like, damn, we didn't know it was illegal before. It's legal now. It was always. So he did that. And, like, anyway, I think he does more good than not. I don't think he's perfect, though.
Okay, your guy before was Harper?
Harper, yeah, he was a goof. He was an idiot.
Wasn't that the guy that was doing crack? No, that was
that was
right?
Rob Ford.
that was a mayor of Toronto.
That was mayor of Toronto.
Yeah, I tried crack, sure.
In a drunken stupor, and I tried. Yeah, but see, you know what? I'm gonna say something. All that stuff came out just after he refused to go to the gay pride parade. He refused to attend the pride parade, and then all that stuff about him doing that came out.
Wow,
it's interesting.
Look at the agenda, bro.
See, it's like that's it. Like I'm not saying that's why, because he obviously
totally
admitted to
why.
it. He obviously, but he admitted to it too. It's not like he was like railroaded. He admitted to it, but that's just after that all that before that all came out. He refused to go to the gay pride parade. So it's like that's the thing. I'm not a big fan of any of them because none of them care about me like that. So
Since you mentioned that as well, I've got another question.
He wants to get me so bad.
No, as for both of you guys.
Yeah, go for
as
it.
a blind question.
Yeah, sure.
All right, because I think I didn't think about this last night. It probably would have been appropriate asking the masjid, right?
Whatever.
But since you guys can't see women, why does it matter where you like put your members? Like, why couldn't it be? Why? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, why would it have to be? You got what I'm saying?
Wait.
Like,
No,
cause,
hold on. Wait.
What? No, because like,
hold
dude, as guys, right?
Hold on.
As sighted men, we look at women and we're like, there's a visual stimulation.
Right.
Okay.
How do you guys like? How does that?
how do you pick a wife?
Or how do you get excited and like if that part is missing or like
What?
There's
part?
there's other stimulation.
Okay, wait. Hold on.
Bro,
Okay,
kissing and
there's more to a chick than her body. What's wrong with
let's,
you, dog?
Let's kind of be clear here, right? So I
Man.
have some vision.
Women
so I
are
can
not
still kind of
objects.
see them, right? That's number one.
so a guy and a girl don't look the same to you? Can you distinguish between?
Yeah,
I learned that in
absolutely.
third grade.
Yeah. Other than that, what?
I learned that in third grade. That guys and girls look the same.
No, it's
See, you just objectified the whole gender of females. That's what you did, because you just look at him like you just look good, and that's it. There's nothing else.
But no, I get what he's saying. He's saying like initial.
No, I want to get him in trouble though.
But he's talking about like initial attraction, right? Am I right?
Yeah.
For
Okay.
them,
Initial attraction.
Like when you met your wife, you met her in like college or something.
I met her at a college program,
Okay.
so I could see her. I could still see her. She was close enough to
Now she
me.
couldn't see you though, so like
couldn't
for
see me.
her, she just knows you're a dude and you sound like a dude.
Yeah, I guess so.
And she's like, I'm
didn't
supposed
like her
to like,
religion.
but is it like I'm supposed to like guys? Is it because like that's the thing?
Yeah,
Like
I guess.
I guess being like you still have I guess you still hit puberty.
Yeah. Yeah. Hello. Yeah, we still hit puberty.
what are you talking about, brother? I don't know what you're talking about, man.
So question. So as a Desi, how are you attracted to people that don't smell like curry and biryani?
I'm so dead. I'm so
Bro,
dead.
You understand? That's how the question that you asked me
I will never get booked
sounded
again.
like. You understand what I'm saying?
There was a chick in high school, man. This chick off the boat. She used to come to school
This
every
is like
day.
the Howard Stern of Muslim podcasts, right? Is it?
She used to come to school every day, smell like Fritos and onion rings,
Okay.
Órale, vato.
and then I'd back up. No, I mean like
I like Fritos. I don't talk about
I'm a ABCD, what they call it. I'm not into like Desi girls that are like super Desi.
Okay.
You know,
I get that.
I get, but I kind of see what you're saying. I'm
You
just like,
understand what I'm saying?
I'm gonna have a hard time wrapping around my hand around
There's
like
there's other ways to be attracted other than visual. Like for me, for example, I like someone I could talk to. My wife, I met her in Kenya, and we had great conversations. So that's the first opening attraction to me.
Oh, you met her
But-
in Kenya.
Yeah,
She
but-
is from Kenya.
she's from Kenya.
Holy cow!
But you what
were you
call it,
doing in
right?
Kenya?
I was there setting up a business. My ex is also from there too. My ex grew up in Toronto though, but we met in Toronto. She wanted our kids to, and we're still cool. There's no heat on the divorce, but we went there so that the kids could get exposure to Kenyan life and learn a little bit and stay. They stayed there for 2 years. While I was there, I set up a business. I tried to, and then during that process, I met my current wife.
Is your wife sighted?
Yeah,
Wow.
she said it.
But like you noticed by the voice, right?
Yep.
Like you
That was the first thing, was
Yeah.
the voice. Second thing was the conversation.
like I've heard Abu Hafsah like hear a voice like nope.
Yeah, no, that's it. For me, it's the audible thing. I can listen to you talk, and if I like the way you talk, then I want to hear what you have to say. That's it. Then like all the physical stuff, whatever that comes later. But For me, initially, it's audible. I like
mean-
to hear how you say things, and then I want to hear what's in your head because I don't want a dummy. You know, you don't want to be with a dummy.
Yeah.
How did Ray Charles do it? He felt the wrist.
Yeah, he used to do that. He'd like grab their hands and wrists and stuff. That's how
Okay,
he-
so like, if
That's old school.
Like let's say
you
there's
start doing that now, you go
Dude,
to
I know,
jail,
it's
dog.
me
You
too,
can't do
son.
that now.
It's me too.
let's say there's a sister out there who's like super intelligent and got everything going for her, but she's really unattractive. Should she then go? Do you think a blind person would be a good person for her to marry?
How do I know? I don't know that. Maybe.
Because he wouldn't be judging her based on his looks.
Such a toolbox. Where did you get this guy?
I mean, I'm just,
Guy's a goof.
I'm trying to help out the community here. I mean, we have a marriage crisis, and Hafardini can't
Apparently, we
help
have a mental
everybody.
illness one too on this show. Lord, I don't know. What are you asking me for? I don't know what people. I mean, she likes blind people.
Me and you are the leading authority on
On
blind
blind
Islam.
people, I don't even talk about. I just started talking about blind people 2 years ago. I don't know nothing about them. Like I told you, I wasn't allowed to be around them when I was a kid. That's it.
You know what's a problem in the blind community as in general, not Muslim blind community in general?
Driving is a problem. In the
Yeah,
blind
huge community. No, like I've been so when I was like a teenager, when I was like 17,
Yeah.
my dad was super strict, right?
Okay.
So he would never let me do anything. But whenever it came to like these blind programs, I don't know, I thought maybe he thought it was like academic or something, so he let me do them. So I just did them because I could get out of the house. You understand what I'm saying?
I was the complete opposite. My mom
But
would
your-
never let me go to those, but I went to everything
Your mom
else.
let you do everything else. Your
Yeah, I
mom
did
ain't a
everything
strict
else.
Arab
I-
from, that didn't want you to look at girls.
I had girlfriends in middle school. I had girlfriends in high school. I was a
So
wrestler.
one
did
thing I
everything.
noticed is that in the blind community, they're really like promiscuous, like really promiscuous.
Really?
Because you know what it is?
Brother said that with excitement. You hear how he said
nobody-
that? Really?
Whoa.
Good golly gosh. Goodness gracious.
No,
Well, Mahin is actually interested. In
no,
that.
Holy
no.
birth
but
control,
I'm
Batman.
gonna tell you why. Because they get a lot of times they get treated like they're not there. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
And you have a girl, pretty girl, and people are looking at her and say, hey, talking to her, giving her attention.
Holla.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And things happen, man. I'm telling you, man. I worked at a camp. I worked at a camp for blind people. Okay. These freaking people, bro. It's just weird.
I didn't know nothing
It's
about
weird,
any of
man.
that.
They're getting it on.
Like I would go
Hey.
home on the weekend and I'd come back and they'd tell me stories. I'm like, what the hell's going on, bro? Like,
Wow.
yeah. So yeah. Yeah.
Conversation
Said that
went
Say it
so
like that.
ba- I know nothing about any of that because I wasn't allowed to go to those.
So thank you for listening to the Mad Mom.
See, this is why y'all only got $16 in your launch thing. 'Cause
Exactly.
you're
Mahin.
my goodness.
I think
I was like all the folks who tuned out when I said let's wrap up. We were the wrap up. They
this is
missed
the
out.
after. This is
missed
the
out.
after party right here. This is what this is.
okay, let's really wrap up now.
No,
All
I
right.
like this. We're having fun here. Let's talk about more. Let's get some. Well, the best thing to do when you're on thin ice is dance. You know that, right? You might as well keep it going. Let's get me banned from another country. Let's go. Hey, Hafsah, what do you think about gun control? There, ask me that. Let's go. I'd say it depends on who's holding them.
Cool. Well, anyways, as we wrap up here for real now, we want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors. So like
Yeah, as long as they still are sponsors. Hopefully they're not watching this.
halfardine.com.
Half Ardeen.
Yeah. So
Can blind people go there and find
They actually
Half of our half.
half of our half?
we actually tested it for them.
Really?
Yeah. We actually tested the
Is it accessible?
accessibility of that website. It is accessible. Yes. It is.
nice.
Blind people. Do you want a second wife? You go there.
No, they don't allow second wives.
Oh, they don't?
It would be, but based on what
What
Nader
if I want all my Dean? Can I get like 2 wives and it can be all of my Dean.com?
based on
This
what,
half is one.
based on what
What about
Nader just
4?
said though, like it sounds like a blind girl for a second wife. You could like if you're like you need a freak or something. Is that what you're here saying?
No, man.
Is that what I picked up?
Not saying that.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm not saying that.
Woo!
I'm never giving a chutzpah ever again.
All right, and then a couple other sponsors again.
I
Yes.
really should have listened to this podcast before I came here.
Wahid Invest and My Wasiya, and check out our show notes for the My Wasiya discount code. and leave us a 5-star review in iTunes.
We have a Launch Good campaign that's active right now, and
if
it's
there are
got
any-
like $15 in there.
If there are any
Please help us.
divorce lawyers that are listening, you might want to tune into the show a bit more because because people are gonna start talking about freaking and all these different things. So Allah help us.
I mean,
No, Barakallahu feekum, guys. I always love coming around you guys. You guys are awesome. And seriously, guys, if you're watching this, if you're a fan of this, shout out to the mailman.
If you're a fan of this, what's wrong with you? Number 2.
No, but seriously,
No, I'm
guys,
kidding.
if,
Yeah,
if you could,
y'all
man,
have
go
been cool.
support them. Go
Absolutely.
to that Launch Good, go do your thing. And then after you're done with them,
We actually need more podcasts that talk about real issues. So
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
messing with them, but I was happy to be here. Alhamdulillah.
absolutely.
Jazakumullah khair.
Yeah, Barakallahu feekum, guys. We appreciate it.
I really appreciate it. And then subscribe on YouTube. Tell your friends about it. And that's it for my co-host Sim and for our special guests Abu Hafsah Abdul Malik Claire and Nader Tabata from Islam by Touch. This is Mahin for the Mad Mamluks signing off. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.